So, Nigel, thank you very much for coming on to Sloth Box here. Straight question, what age did you get into boxing?
I was born into it. It sounds a ridiculous statement, but my father was a boxer. So my earliest memories are in boxing clubs all around the country, amateur boxing clubs. My father, Nigel Travis, was the national coach for a number of years. So all through my early years, pubescent years, teenage years, adult years, it's been all around boxing. I was born into it. My father was a boxer, my brother was a boxer, so it was just an obvious transition for me to carry on the family tradition as such. I've never known life without boxing, Paul. That's the honest truth.
For the people who don't know you, you've got one of the most sort of eclectic blends of lifestyles. It's kind of like you've got 4 lives going on at the same time, and I don't know. I think you've got this ability to sort of slow down time and make a 24-hour day into 200 hours because it's just not normal. So before we go on to that in a minute, coming back to your amateur career, you were fighting for Fitzroy Lodge, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so the Fitzroy Lodge was my gym, the gym that that really made me what I am today, or made me the person that I am, and certainly it made me, just influenced everything about my life. My first time I boxed was in Manchester. I boxed at the Hardwick Lads Club, which is still going strong in Hardwick, and that's where I had 3 contests as a kid. I was just a bit disillusioned by Manchester, that I had a few problems going on up here, so I decided to spread my wings. I went to London, obviously, with an eye on boxing and maybe making a career out of it, maybe doing something with it. And so my father, obviously, as I said before, he was a boxer. Everyone goes to the Repton in London. It's an obvious choice because they've had so many champions, and it's obviously historical as well. So I said, I'm going to go to London and go to the Repton. He said, "You're not going to the Repton, son." He said, "If you're going anywhere in London, you'll be going to see Mickey Carney." And so Mickey Carney was like my mentor. Was a man who influenced me massively. I'm very fortunate that I've got a father who I love and I cherish. But Mickey Carney became like a 7th father, a surrogate father. Like it happens in most boxing clubs around the country, that the coaches become surrogate fathers. And I was no different, even though I had a father, perfectly able, perfectly good father, and a mother. My father handed that duty over to Mickey Carney while I was in London. I was 18 years old down there, and I lived down there for 9 years, 9.5 years, nearly 10 years. And it made me the man that I am today. Mickey Carney was influential in that, and I had the happiest, some of the happiest years of my life in underneath the arches on Lambeth Road at Fitzroy Lodge. I had many contests there. I went all around the country. I went all around the world. It was just an amazing place, and the people who are my friends there now are still very, very close to me now. People like Eddie Lamb, Mark Reigate, Ed Robinson, Lewis Reynolds, people who were just, some of them are still boxing people, some of them have gone away from the boxing world altogether, but they're still, obviously, still very close. So it's it's a family unit. It was a family unit as such, and it made me welcome. I was a northern monkey, as they used to call me, but really they made me feel like, one of their own. They genuinely did. It wasn't the north and south divide. It was a beautiful place, and I still visit there regularly. Anytime I'm in London, it's like a pilgrimage. I will definitely go there. My God rest his soul, Mickey Carney passed away, and Mark Reigate has taken up the mantle, and he's doing it justice that Mickey would expect, and he keeps the ethos as Mickey would, which is very much what I've done in my situation. But Mickey Carney was instrumental in making me that man that I am today.
You were quite highly ranked at the time. I can't remember. Was it welterweight you were fighting at?
Light middleweight.
Light middleweight. Okay, right. Yeah, the same weight as Morsey. We're going to come into those epic battles in a minute with your wingman. But you were in the top 3 at one point, weren't you?
Yeah, I was top. Yeah, I was second. The highest I ever got to was number 2, and Chris Bessie was number 1. And really, Chris Bessie had me in his pocket without a shadow of a doubt. I don't mind admitting that. Chris Bessie was like a 6-time ABA champion, was just a phenomenal talent as an amateur. Never transitioned. He was in the army. Never transitioned to the pros. Was an amazing talent. Was brilliant. He seemed to live, an unhealthy life. Liked to beer. Loved to party. But when he came to the boxing, he was always one step ahead of me. I don't mind admitting that. But it was not a bad place to be. Number two.
Very, very impressive. Now, what's also more impressive is boxing trainer, fireman. You've been a fireman for how many years?
28 years nearly. So
is that all?
2.5 years, but yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. You're not even 50, and you've had that number of years behind it. That's absolutely incredible. Actor. I mean, there's so many different things in there, and husband and father, most importantly, as well, and a great son. Just very quickly, because obviously we're wearing the same caps. It looks like I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, and we're kind of the same but different t-shirts. But you're in Peaky Blinders. Just quick question: what was Cillian Murphy like to work with?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was really good. I've got to be honest, Paul. And when we, I was fortunate enough to get the role. I auditioned for it and got the role. I didn't know anything about Peaky Blinders, obviously, because it was a new thing. It was brand new. No one knew anything about it. There's no research that you could do. Met Cillian Murphy. I didn't know who he was. Genuinely had no idea. It was a bit of a phenomenon that we got in there. So I slipped Jamie in there. Really, they were asking for tough-looking people. I sent a few photos of kids in my gym. Sent a photograph of Jamie Moore, and he said, "Yeah, we like him. Does he do a bit?" I said, "Yeah, he does a little bit." Yeah, to be fair. So they had no idea who he was, and in all fairness, we had no idea who any of the cast were. We didn't know any of them at all. As we got going, there was God rest her soul again, Helen McCrory. You'd seen her in so many films. I'd never seen Cillian Murphy in anything or heard his name. And obviously, then when we got talking to him, he said, "So, are you a boxer?" "Yeah, I do a bit of boxing." And he said the same to Morsey. Asked Morsey, "Did he do any boxing?" He said, "Yeah, I was British, Commonwealth, European champion, and Irish champion." He said, "Do you do any acting?" He said, "Yeah, I've done a bit." And then when we found out driving home, they're like, "What a bunch of dickheads we were." So, and to be honest, I didn't even know he was Irish. I said, "So you're Irish?" He went, "Well, Cillian Murphy, I think so." I'll just be an absolute idiot. But we didn't know who he was, but he was very, very nice. He was a real gentleman. He wasn't affected as you'd expect superstars to be, because that's what he is. He's a bona fide superstar. He's probably an A-lister, biggest A-lister I've ever come into contact with regarding, acting and in that industry, the showbiz industry. And he was really, really nice. Very, he was very, seemed to be interested in what you were doing. He really tried to help. And, and I'm not, a big time actor, certainly not. And, I do a little bit when I'm fortunate enough to get auditions and be successful. But he sort of helped me again immeasurably regarding, how he helped you perform, and I play the same roles in anything that I've ever done. It's always a tough guy, a stupid idiot, drug dealer, bad guy, someone who looks a bit daft, but always out fighting and being involved in that. And obviously, I've got to face some second prizes. Maybe that's what. Any second prizes, but it stood me in good stead. In all honesty.
So, I mean, like I said, acting, father, son, etc., etc., etc. But a lot of people purely know you as Nigel Travis, head coach down at Moss Side Fire Station Boxing Club. How do you fit in training with everything else?
I have a very, very, very understanding wife, and so as you said, first and foremost, I'm a husband and a dad. But my wife and my kids sort of allow me. It sounds ridiculous, but they allow me to do what I'm doing, because running Moss Side Fire Station Boxing Club is a full-time job. Like any boxing club, it's not just my gym. There's a million gyms around the country, thousands of gyms around the country, and then the people who run them, it's a full-time job that's done in a volunteer capacity. And my wife is understanding. So I've just finished work now. I went into the gym for just for half an hour to have a look around to make sure everything's okay. So some nights I'm there all day, all night. Some days I go during the day. So it's just a constantly, it's like a balancing act. Like you're spinning plates, but it's what makes me, makes me tick. And the fact that I have a supporting wife and children who allow me to do it, that's the God's honest truth. That's not blowing smoke up anyone's backside. That's my missus allows me to do it, because if she said no more, then that'd be a tough question. But I've been with my wife all my life. So my wife, Susie, is my first love, and I met her at school when we were 15, and that's, you know, it's a great love story. But you know, that's for another film script maybe.
Yeah, no, obviously you have to run that one past your agent. Nigel's infamous agent, for those who don't know about that. Now, just sort of switching on to the actual achievement of the club, what it does at grassroots level. I've been very fortunate, apart from knowing Nigel for a number of years, and very fortunate to have met his family as well. But I've also been fortunate to come down the boxing club and see exactly what happens down there and the influence it has on individuals. So, but for the people out there that talk about boxing should be banned, if you took away Moss Side Fire Station Boxing Club out of the area or similar throughout the UK, just explain how important it is fundamentally in society to have this club there, and what exactly it does to people. The likes of Connor Tudsbury, for example.
Yeah, it's just it's a necessity in areas like that, and that's the simple truth of it. The boxing clubs throughout the country, the world, that are any note, they come from deprived areas, because by their very natures, people from those areas have to fight. They have to fight for acceptance. They have to fight for food. They have to fight for anything. So there are deprived areas. You know, there's a lot of poverty in those areas, a lot of crime, and so those kids are maybe coming to boxing clubs initially with the mindset of getting tough, to be tough in the area. But it's not until you get them in the gym and you affect them and you influence them and you engage with them that you change the perception. So they come in there trying to learn how to fight, when really fighting is the last thing that they will want to do, because boxers, as people know, they're some of the most respected and respectable people in the world. So they shake hands before as they leave the gym every single day. And the fact, obviously you mentioned Connor there, and we have a kid called Pat Brown who's double ABA champion now, and we have Matthew Knipe who's European silver medalist, and Kai Hardicke, ABA champion. All these kids who are doing good. They're the cream of the crop. That hopefully, God willing, you'll see on television screens around in the not too distant future. But it isn't just the kids who like those we've mentioned. It's the kids who will never box. It's the kids who have that respect, or they have that, feel that worth to come to a gym just to train, just to get involved, just to learn respect, to learn discipline, to learn the courage it takes to get in there. So these are just lessons. So it's wonderful to have people like Connor Tudsbury, Pat Brown, Matthew Knight in your gym. It's great. So if you can't coach those kids, then you really should not be in this game. But it's the kids who will never box. There's some of the greatest success stories that I've also known, they're fondest to me and my family. So my family take pride in that. So the kids from the gym, kids, the Somali community in Moss Side is quite an underrepresented community throughout. They keep to themselves. So because maybe there's problems within certain communities that they can fall out. In our gym, there's no culture, there's no colour, there's no religion, there's no sexuality, there's no sex, there's not anything. You're just coming in, you do as you're told, and if you don't do as you're told, you get your ass thrown out of the gym, and that's it. These kids want boundaries, they want rules, they want to be part of something, and we're giving them that something, but it's a positive thing. What we're giving them is massive positivity. And if these kids haven't got that, then what else have they got? There's no community leisure centres. There's nothing that, without being money, money orientated. It's all about finance. And the simple fact of the matter is that these kids, the mentors and the leaders of some of these communities have a negative influence because of what they do. Whatever they're selling out the back of the cars or dealing, doing what they're doing, whatever they're doing, they're the people who are successful from those communities. So they're the people who the kids maybe aspire to be. So if you can change that aspiration, that mentor to be a guy from Salford who swears too much, shouts too much. He's white, he's a fireman, whatever. It's maybe not the stereotypical image that he would have from his community. So if you can replace that, and that's just about education. So that you're a mentor to these kids and a surrogate father, or and you replace things, but the kids just want guidance, whether that be from the guy who's knocking gear out of the back of his car saying, I'll look after you, and they feel part of something. But we also do that, and we give them something to be part of, and that's all these kids want, and they need a chance. And respected governments have screwed them, have let them down, and continue to do it daily.
So if there's anyone who's going to watch this show and they're watching this particular part now, and you've got the ability to either fundraise or generate finances or look for sponsorship, then Moss Side Fire Station Boxing Club, get in touch with Nigel Travis. And if you've got the chance to go down there, like I said, I've been. It's an incredible place. Magic happens down there. Don't get a cup of tea from Nigel because his tea making skills are crap, and that's an understatement. But it's a magical experience to go down. I promise you, I swear, it is unbelievable. Moving on to professional boxing. Now, there are some myths, legends about you and Jamie Moore having spars back in the day. Would you like to inform us exactly what happened? Because I've heard various versions, but I need to hear it from you.
Yeah, you've heard Jamie Moore's version. So me and Jamie, we met 18 years ago, and we started sparring 18 years ago, and we had wars, and they were, again, wars in a gym with head guards on and 16-ounce gloves. Some of those against some of my greatest times. And first time I was with Jamie Moore's old amateur coach when I came back to Manchester from London. I was at the Fitzroy Lodge when I came back. I went to I was in Salford. I went to Jamie Moore's old amateur gym, not because of Jamie Moore. I didn't know who he was. But what I did, all I knew, I heard about a kid called Jamie Moore, because in the ratings, when I was number 2, Jamie Moore was number 6. So that was something, and that's something that I've kept forever. And I have it on my phone, and I constantly remind him, say, and when you were number 6, I was number 2. So that was quite a fun story. But no, so yeah, listen, we had some phenomenal scraps, and I suppose that's my claim to fame. I was Jamie Moore's sparring partner, but it didn't matter. He made me, again, that's something else in fairness to Jamie. He's made me, I believe, a better person. We're very, very close. Our wives are close. Our kids are close, and it really is some real close family unit we have there. We call it the family, and it's just brilliant. But yeah, the first time I ever met him, I went in his gym, and I have no problem admitting, Jamie absolutely pinged me, because I went in there. I've been in training in old gyms, Fitzroy, very cold gym. So I went in there with a hoodie up, skins, leggings. And I went in Oliver Harrison's gym, the pro gym, and he had these heaters like I've never felt. And he was like, what the? And I was already gloved up. I was already ready to go, and it was too late to take them off. And I did 3 rounds of them. And I don't mind admitting that Jamie pinged me from corner to corner and just non-stop for 3 rounds. And so Oliver Harrison used to record all the sparring all the time. And for some reason, Jamie's kept that one. But all the ones after, when I went back down there and I absolutely pinged him, he seems to have lost those. So that's indicative of the situation. So I'll let you make your own mind up. I don't need to boast. I don't need to say anything.
Yeah, I think we need to get him on a polygraph and say, do you have those videos? It's we might need to get someone from the police and say, I don't know, some sort of legal aspect of it. For a lot of people that didn't know all of that, because that's great information about the Nigel Travis behind the scenes. And most people see you on the telly these days. You're working with Jamie. You're in the corner. An unbelievably passionate part of any professional or amateur's boxing journey. Now, I'm going to mention 2 fighters here. Chantel Cameron. How far can she go? I mean, she's already got, she's almost got the entire sort of wardrobe of belts at the moment. But in terms of her career, how far can she go, and what would you like to see her achieve?
I think she beats everybody. So talking about loads of stories, loads of potential matchups. The dream for her would be she's doing having all the success. She's a double world champion. She has a ring belt, and she's a light welterweight. She's at light welterweight when she's a lightweight. So she is Katie Taylor's weight. So that would be the fight that I believe that she can win if it can ever be made. Katie Taylor's got business to do, at Crow Park. Apparently, that's what they're going to do. She can't get an opponent, then I know somebody who will be certainly willing to do that. I believe that she beats McCaskill, who's the undisputed at welterweight. So, I mean, there's talk, and they're both talking, calling each other out or doing whatever it is that they do, on social media. But she's absolutely fantastic. I believe that since she's come with us, that she's liked it, she's enjoyed it, she's learned, she's got better and better and better. She's great to have around the gym, and it's strange having a girl in the gym because you think you got to watch your P's and your Q's, and really they haven't got much P's and Q's because she'll have the banter with you as much as anything, and obviously we have a crack and we work, we have such fun in the gym. It's great, but when we work properly. So she's just been to Miami. She's back in next week, and then all systems go for the next couple of months. So I believe that I believe she can do lightweight, light welterweight, and welterweight. So I believe that she could possibly be a 3-way undisputed world champion.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, listen, I've spoken to you before about her work ethic, and for those who don't know, I mean, she trains like a machine, and she's single-minded on what she wants to achieve, and certainly so far that's paid dividends. Now, I've very rarely seen you lose your shit, especially on TV, but there's only one time I've seen it in recent times, and it was when Jack Catterall was fighting against Josh Taylor. So, your thoughts on the fight?
Again, I don't want to. I'm one of the many. I'm one of the majority, certainly, and maybe not the silent majority. Jack Catterall won the fight. I thought all 3 scorecards were terrible. Even the one that gave it to Jack, but at least they had the right winner. I believe that Victor, Ian John Lewis, they demoted, which was a terrible card. But I even believe that Victor Loughlin's card was disgusting. I really do. Howard Foster gave Jack the win, and that's okay, commendable. Let's say, but it's ridiculous because he won the fight. I don't think there's any argument. I believe that if you'd been heavily drinking, smoking spice, and washing through one eye, you could theoretically, if you gave them both 6 rounds each, which would have been a madness because Josh Taylor didn't win 6 rounds. Jack would have won because of the knockdown. So the public warnings cancelled each other out. Just thought it was disgusting. And obviously, Julian Cassius grabbed me as I was walking away, and I was raging. And obviously, I didn't speak the best. My father and my mother gave me a rollicking because I swore so much. But it's just ludicrous. And the genuine story is that would have been life changing. That's what I was trying to get over. It would have been life changing for Jack Catterall. Whereas the simple fact of it was on the Monday morning after the fight, when we were still in massive shock, Jack was holding the baby. Jack had just had a new child, Riley Ray, and his missus should have retired. Should have retired in the ring on Saturday night, but she didn't because Jack's got to go back on the tools himself. He went back on the tools last year. So it's just a ridiculous thing that the people, and I don't want to call it corrupt. I don't know what the word is, but it's definitely wrong. It's as simple as that. That's all I can say without getting hauled between the board. But I said hold me before the board and justify why those cards are right. And people have said in the board it was a close fight. It wasn't a close fight. People have said that it wasn't a close fight.
I just say even Mr. Speaker from the House of Parliament kicked up a massive fuss. There was a huge uproar. I think there's only one thing for it. I'm going to have to get Jack on this show, and going to have to hear his side and see how he feels about sort of moving forward. But the last question is the rematch. It's looking likely now it's going to happen. Josh Taylor, the documentary recently about him is saying, you know, I'll do the rematch, and making noise on social media, whereas before it was I can only go up to 147. What happens in the rematch, Nigel?
Exactly the same. I think Jack, and so before Taylor was showing, taking photographs of himself and posting he'd never been strong and never been better. So is that just lies and bullshit? Well, maybe, but so he's now saying you couldn't beat me on my worst night, beat me on my. So he told us he was the best. I believe that Jack Catterall beats him. I genuinely believe Jack Catterall beats him. I believe that Jack Catterall is the best 145er in the world. I really do. And although I lost a lot of money on that night, I put a lot of money on him because the odds were just ridiculous in my eyes. And every time he sparred, I put more money on it. So I lost my money, and Josh Taylor and all his Scottish mates might say tough luck. But no way did he win it. And I should have a few quid in the bank. I haven't. That's life. Well,
we're gonna sign off for my signature question. If you could spar 3 rounds with any past boxing legend, who would it be and why?
I'd like to spar Sugar Ray Robinson, who's the best ever, and he would dance rings on me. I'm just to be there, you know, just to see him move, just to see him in person. I would love to. You know, the only other one that would have was Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Leonard. So Sugar Ray Leonard is the best at my era, best I've ever, and I've met him. He was phenomenal to meet him. Well, Robinson is the best, and I would have loved to spend a bit of time working with him and seeing how good he was.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I think we're going to have to get you back for another show at some point, because there is I've known you a long time, and there's so many areas I wanted to expand upon in there to talk about the boxing and certainly what you're doing at a grassroots level. But thank you so much for coming on to Slothbox, Nigel.
No problem, Paul, and it's wicked to see you, man. God bless you.